Okay, in the AA Big Book, they said the #1 reasons why we relapse is what? Resentment, right? Now, I think the Big Book is like 98 or 99% correct, right? But for me, resentment, for you guys especially, is not the #1 reason for relapse. You know what the #1 reason is? Money. Money. Because I've seen hundreds and hundreds of guys who get their job, and guess what they do? Within a week, within 2 months, a week to 2 months, they get their paycheck, and what do? Woohoo! Party! Yeah! Yeah! I just got paid $400 or $600, right? But you know what? This time, I'm going to control it. That's what they say to themselves. And guess what happens? You think they control it?
No.
Nope. Because we have the disease. I have the disease. Once I start, I don't quit. Right? And so for me, for you guys, the #1 relapse trigger is money. And you got to be aware of that. And you know, one of the things that Reggie has done is help guys with outside jobs and say, hey, you know, I'll help you manage your money. Right? But I guarantee you, see, those are the thoughts. Because when I was in my addiction, I had my regular salary, and then I had these ridiculous amount of commission money. Like when I got the commission money, it was just like, wow. Like I can do anything I want, and I did. Right? But what was a good thing with the commission money is I maxed out with my IBM stock and with my IRA before I even could touch the money. So I automatically went in there, and then by still I was cracking the money, and it was like, woohoo! So when I got sober and clean, I had to change my thinking. I had to say, I can't do that anymore. I can't do that. Because once I start, I can't quit. And, you know, we've had, I know a lot of guys that, you know, one guy was, y'all know what SSI disability is, right? Yeah. Okay, so they have a lump sum deal, right? So this guy said, you know, when I get my lump sum deal, I'm going to buy a Range Rover because he's getting a lot of money back. Right? Now it's a used, not a new one, but still, it was a nice. Range Rovers are like real expensive cars. Right? So he said, I'm going to get that. And so he got a big lump sum. He bought the Range Rover. And in a month, he had lost it. You know who he lost it to? The dope man. Right? Because he traded his Range Rover for a bunch of dope. Because he started his addiction. See, that's the problem. And Dennis is saying, did that happen to you, right?
I went through 36 grand.
See?
2 months.
In 2 months. 36,000. See, that's the way we are. I'm not, and Dennis is normal. That's what we do. That's what we, because we get the woohoo. And we think we're going to control. We think we're going to, everything's going to be different. You know what? It is different. Because it's worse this time. It's worse. So it is like a pick on Dennis. It's like this has happened hundreds of times. The guys I know have been talking today. Come on. Another guy that's up on the wall. His name is Johnny Shavers. Johnny used to. He looked for you older guys. You remember a comedian called Gallagher? He used to smash watermelons. Right. For you young guys, just Google Gallagher and watermelons, and then you know who I'm talking. He's very, very funny. In fact, I was at an IBM show in Las Vegas. I actually introduced him 3 or 4 times. But he's a wild man. He is a wild man. Anyway, this guy looked like Gallagher, right? He had the stringy hair, bald up top kind of deal, and he kind of looked like Gallagher. Anyway, so Johnny, his dream, he's on disability. His dream was not to have a guy be his paid, right? Which happened to be the guy down the street. So anyway, his payee was moving to South Carolina and retired, and he said, Johnny, I can't be your payee anymore. So what I'm going to do is you will get paid the SS. So what do you think Johnny did? Woohoo! Party! Right? And the day he got his first SS check by himself, he went into a cheap hotel, got some cheap women, cheap drugs, cheap booze, and he died. Right? And he's up there too. There he is right there, Johnny. Look at it. He looks like Albert. Right?
I gave him a ride.
Yeah! You remember that? All right. Here's another guy. This is sad because I love this guy. This guy worked in the warehouse, and I always called him a carpenter. But I'm not a carpenter. I'm a woodmaker, a woodworker, whatever. Right? And he would take stuff that I would throw away, like old furniture and trash. But he would spend days rejuvenating this antique stuff. And it would come out, we'd sell the stuff for $700, $800 for something I was going to throw into the dumpster, right? And he had his little shop there, right? And so, his name's Jerry. Jerry used to, Jerry, you know, every 4 or 5 months he would relapse, right? So he'd get a little bit of money, his gratuity would go up to $22 or whatever, and he would relapse, and you know, he'd get drunk typically or buy some cheap drugs, whatever. But it was like he didn't have real money, right? So he only had a few dollars, so he can't really do harm to himself. And he said, Brent, I can't wait till I get SSI, because he kept applying, you know, they rejected you, apply. But finally got approved. And we never saw Jerry again, right? Because he's living the high life. Now he's getting the $723 or whatever the hell it is each month. So he's getting the money, and he had enough. And I'll never forget, Dennis come in my office and said, what do you think bringing Jerry back? I said, hell yeah. I love Jerry. Jerry is an asset to Souls Harbor. He's a skilled worker, right? I said, heck yeah. So I said, tell Jerry, and this is like man on a Tuesday or something. I said, tell Jerry he can come in anytime he wants. Well, Jerry knew, yeah, and it's kind of like a lot of these guys want the last hurrah, right? So he knows he's coming into Souls Harbor. He knows that our program dictates that he be sober and clean. So he has one last fling, right? And he gets hammered. Hammered. That's on a Thursday night. Friday morning, they're driving him to Green Oaks, which is the detox, right? And guess what happened? He had a massive heart attack right there in the parking lot. He died right in the parking lot. He didn't make it to Souls Harbor. But here, well, just all these stories is about money. See, we may say money as a blessing, but it's a curse. If we can't manage our money, guess what happens? It's going to take your life, right? I know that. You know that. Ernest knows that. Hey, Dennis knows that too. Dennis had a heart attack in Austin. What was that? 4 years ago? About 4 years ago in the summer. That's where this disease takes you. It wants you, each one of you guys, dead. 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 And see, the way our mind is programmed. And I heard this in an AA meeting, and we remember the good stuff and not the bad stuff. Which sounds great, right? That sounds great. So when we're cold, sober, and clean, we don't remember our last high, our last drunk, or how the heck we got here. What we remember is the good times. And so the disease says, I I want you guys back. I want you back in the addiction. Because you think you had hell last time? You're going to magnify it by 10. Because this is a progressive disease. And that's the way our brain is set up. You know what I do? I think of the worst scenarios. And I did this my first 2 years. By the way, I don't, you know, there's a guy that comes out here sometimes on Friday nights from the Freedom Group. His name is Anthony. I think he has 32 years or something like that. And he says, I'm an arrested alcoholic, and the problem is Anthony. Have you ever heard of him? I'm an arrested alcoholic and drug addict. I had no desire. Right? Because I see it on you guys, and I don't even have a thought of drinking and driving. But that's what, after 12 years, almost 12 years in June, has got me, because I am. Now, I still have to maintain the program. I go to 2 to 3 meetings a week, call my sponsor. I meet with my sponsee once a week. So I'm still active in the program because this is a disease of forgetfulness. And what do I mean by forgetfulness? Because if I'm not in the program, if I'm not reminded that I am a drug addict, I'm a pill popper, I'm an alcoholic, guess what happens? I forget. And then those thoughts of, boy, I remember that time I got the girl, I had a good time that night, those thoughts come into my head. But if I'm active in AA or NA or Celebrate Recovery, whatever, I remember those things. Right? And that's what we need to do. That's why when we're in NA we said, hi, I'm Brent, I'm a drug addict. Or AA, I said, hi, I'm Brent, I'm an alcoholic. It isn't to belittle us. It's to remind us. It's to remind us that this disease, the other thing is, like I said, today marked 80 years that the AA Big Book comes. And I have these debates with people who say, the Big Book is 100% right. I disagree. I'm in America. In America we have freedom of thoughts, freedom of speech, right? And my two biggest contentions are recover versus recovery. It says if I work the 12 steps, I'm recovered. I say that's horse crap. If I work the 12 steps and I stay sober and clean and I take my last breath, I am recovered. We had a guy who worked through the 12 steps. He stole thousands of dollars from a cancer lady. He stole from an old lady, an old man, his retirement fund. And you want to say he's recovered? Talk to the guy who lost his retirement fund. Talk to the lady who stole thousands of dollars in cancer. Don't say horse crap, he ain't recovered. He ain't even recovering, he's in his addiction. But the Big Book says we're recovered. That, and I still don't, resentment is probably up there. But for me, for people with long-term sobriety, also the book was written 4 years after AA started. So there was nobody with 5 years or more of sobriety. Nobody. So for me, the number one offender is forgetfulness. Because if I quit going to meetings, if I quit calling my sponsor, if I quit doing service work, if I quit sponsoring people, guess what? I forget. I forget, and then it's just like, you know, it was hot today. I saw Dennis cutting the grass today. Thank you, Dennis. I got to pay you though later. But, I mean, it's like, hey, would it be nice if we could just pop open a watered down Coors Light? And you know what? If I don't go to AA meeting or an AA meeting, guess what happens? That thought prevails and comes back. If I go to AA meeting and say, you know, let's think about it. I go, you know what that's going to lead to? Right? Oh, it can't even get me drunk. Right? A bar down towards like, especially if you're in Oklahoma and you got the 3-2 crack going, right? Right? Because that's the way we think. That's the way we're programmed. So you got to have this disease right in front of you, right? Now, the last thing I'm going to do, when I got sober, I didn't believe in the 12 steps. I didn't go to AA. I thought the 12 steps was a bunch of BS, exercise in futility. I really didn't like AA. I thought it was a cult. And so, my company, IBM at that time, paid for my therapist. I used to go to a therapist. And she kept saying, she's an old Jewish lady, you need to go to AA. I don't want to go to AA. But she said something profound, and it is in the Living Sober book, but it ain't in the big book, is here's the problem. When you guys are sober and clean, now you have all this downtime. So what are you going to do with your time? Right? And that's the problem. We get bored, right? We'll watch Leave It to Beaver reruns or whatever the hell we do. And then we get sick of that. And it's just like, this is boring. What will a little crack do? Or heroin? Or marijuana? Or drink? Right? And what would happen? Takes you a drug of choice. And I went through that in the last town hall, was to talk about the physical, mental obsession. I'm not doing that. But one of the things she said was, Brent, what was your passion before you got sober and clean? I said, I love to read. And I do. I read 30 books. And it's all nonfiction. All right? So I love American history. What I love about American history is because history repeats itself. Because we were going, we had this crisis with the immigrants. That was going on 80, 90 years ago. Right? They didn't want the Italians here because they're mafia. Right? And the Irish and the Italians and, the Germans are all drunks. So what did they do 80 years ago? What is the 18th Amendment? Anybody know what the 18th Amendment is? 18th Amendment is get rid of liquor. And that was the same mindset. That was the same mindset of prohibition. It was the rural people saying, you know what, this drinking is getting out of hand. And the city people, the immigrants, were benefiting on it, especially the Germans. And the Irish too. And the Italians. And so they passed the 18th Amendment, which says you can't buy alcohol. And that caused more problems. So what happened? Bootleg, right? And then what happened 3 or 4 years later? They said, forget the 18th Amendment. Right? So, I look at history, I go, this is the same thing, this is the same thing, this is the same. It basically is the same. The more you read, the more you say, okay, this pattern is going on. They used to say, our country's fall back in 1920. How many of you guys been to Montana? Is that state full? It's almost as bad as West Texas. I mean, wow. Anyway, so one of the guys, okay, so a long time ago, I read John Adams, right when I was early in sobriety. And that was the book to read, from all these people that like to read. And I'm reading, I'm going, which guy I really was admiring? Was Benjamin Franklin. Yeah, John Adams was cool, Thomas Jefferson, a royal, pain in blood. But the guy that was like, wow, this guy is like, and that's why he's on the $100 bill. Because he was a true Renaissance man. What does Renaissance man mean? Renaissance man means that he dabbled in a lot of different things. Okay, so he was into libraries. He started a library system. He started the fire stations in the United States. He had his own FedEx offices up and down the East Coast that printed people's newspapers and whatnot. He started in Philadelphia and they went up north to Boston and whatnot, and they went down south to D.C. And this guy was innovative. So anyway, long story short, the French were fascinated, which is interesting. The French are always fascinated with science. They're the only ones that respected the Wright brothers as far as the airplane deal. And they brought the Wright brothers over. Anyway, they brought Benjamin Franklin over. And Benjamin Franklin was like a prima donna, a god, because he had this electricity. Well, then the revolution came. And so they said, hey, we need an ambassador for France. So guess who they chose? Benjamin Franklin. So, Who was the head of our U.S. Navy in the independence? Do anybody know? Who was the top admiral? We didn't have a navy. The British had a navy, and they're kicking our butts with it. So guess who recruited the French Navy? Benjamin Franklin. If it wasn't for Franklin, guess what? We'll all be British here. Right? We didn't have a navy. And that's why he's on the $100 bill. And there's many, many other reasons why. Very, very fascinating book. If you ever want to read about it, really cool deal. But one of the things he did is he came up with this decision. He had all these ideas. He did the Farmer Almanac too. But he had, do you ever remember seeing this, the pros and the cons? When you make a decision? Okay, so now I'm going to flip it to recovery and say, what's the benefit of using, drinking, or popping the pill?
None.
No?
Feel
Yeah, temporary relief, right? Temporary relief.
Makes you faster.
Yes. Instant gratification, right?
Quickens your reflexes.
Changes mood.
Okay.
False impression of yourself.
What?
False impression of yourself. Gives you false beliefs.
Right. Which is kind of this, right? Gives you a false sense of pride. I just call it liquid courage because now I can go up to the real pretty women and go, hey, baby, right? So it gives you a false sense of courage, right? All right. So that's the pros. What's the cons? What?
Costs money.
Money?
Health.
What else?
Health.
Health? Yes, especially meth, heroin, alcohol.
Of reality.
What else?
Simulation of reality.
Reality,
Family.
Job.
family, jobs, get rid of family, jobs. What else?
Time.
Well, how about those guys up there?
Death.
Death, right?
Spiritual.
Legal.
What happened to Marion? Where's Marion now? The guy with the 70
Years in prison.
jails and prisons, right?
It becomes an obsession.
Yeah. It becomes an obsession, addiction, right?
Really good for you.
Now, I'm not totally against drinking or drugging because, you know, there's normal, I'll never forget, I went out with this gal up in McKinney when I first got here. And she had a glass of wine, right? And she drank half of it, and she said, whoa, I'm getting lightheaded. I go, aren't you? And her name was what? Laura, aren't you going to finish that? She goes, oh, no, I'm like that. I go, man, that's where the fun starts, right? when you get that, whoa! But see, that's the way we think. Normal people say, hey, I had enough. But that ain't us, all right? So addiction. Okay?
Right.
Health problems. Family problems. You become hopeless. Right?
Powerless.
Powerless.
Discontent.
What else? Anything else? You become homeless. So, using a Benjamin Franklin decision tree, what do you think is the right decision?
Not right.
Right? And this, see the problem, here's the deal. You guys were stone cold, sober, and clean. Process came into you, and you made a conscious decision to say, screw it. Because you didn't take all these things into consideration. You took one or two of these things into